Guys, we're gonna start in 1 minute, and I wish you all a great webinar. Okay, I will shut my camera and my microphone.
Thanks. Let's go.
Thank you. We'll just wait 1 more minute. Okay. So it's 5 o'clock exactly. Yeah. Okay, I think we'll get started. I think, yeah, it's good to see there's a few people here. Good evening, everyone. So I'm glad that you could join us for this talk about a subject that most people are surely interested in, which is improving ourselves and our lives. Just to let you know, if you're interested in learning more after this talk, we'll be giving some details on how you can read some logosophy books for free, watch previous webinars, or take part in some other online or in-person events. So firstly, just a brief word about logosophy for those not familiar with it. Logosophy was founded by Argentinian thinker and humanist Carlos Bernardo González Picoche in Cordoba in 1930. And since that time, many study centers have been established in Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, and also in the USA and Europe. There are also several logosophical primary and secondary schools across South America. There are many ways to describe what logosophy is. We could perhaps, though, start with a couple of things logosophy is not. It's not a religion, and it's not an abstract philosophy in the sense that people can argue back and forth endlessly about a topic, and it's not really a form of self-help. Logosophy addresses concerns that humanity has struggled with for its whole existence, really, and it gives each person the tools to address those questions. For instance, questions we all have about why are we here? What's the meaning of our life? Is there a God of some kind? What does it mean to act ethically? Or how do we improve ourselves and overcome our faults? However, it approaches these topics from a very unique and comprehensive perspective. And it's one where the belief or dogma is replaced by testing logosophical knowledge within your own life to arrive at a real knowledge of ourselves and our own existence. It can be described as a science because its knowledge can be applied in a practical way in our daily lives and through a method that it establishes. It can also be described as a culture because logosophy is something that's studied collaboratively with other people. So it's not just in isolation. the exchange of comprehensions between students is a vital part of the process. And in a way, everyone is both a student and a teacher, including a teacher for themselves. And it should be stressed that Logosophy is also a completely non-profit, and it has no political affiliations or goals, and all students contribute their efforts on a purely voluntary basis. Okay, so now let's hear from 3 students of Logosophy who are going to share their experiences of applying this knowledge. And first, I'd like to just pass the word to Giordano.
Thanks, Simon. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Giordano, as Simon said. I'm 22 years old, and I am a member of the Logosophical Foundation here in Brazil since 2018. It's an honor to be here with you. I'm really glad. And I heard it's really cold in United Kingdom. Here in Brazil, it's very hot. So I wish this same cold in here. But let's start our activity. We're gonna talk today about an important matter. Is there anyone in here that doesn't want to be better? I've been observing that everyone has something that would like to improve. But where do we start? Have you ever heard that famous proverb, a leopard can change its spots? Am I what I'm meant to be, and period? But what about my will of being a better person? The author of Logosophy teaches that man is the unique being in creation capable of experiencing changes as a result of his own determination. So, in principle, I'm able to make changes in my life. I don't need to be the same forever. And this determination to change, is it natural or does it need to be cultivated? I've understood that being better is to evolve, to overcome old habits, and to seek new ways of thinking, feeling, and acting. But what if I act in a wrong way? If I don't accomplish a purpose, what can I do to revert this situation and avoid future mistakes in the same points? How can I improve my inner conditions? It's a lot of questions, right? And I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I won't give a direct answer to all of them, because I need a deeper comprehension about all these subjects. But for now, let's think together. What has permitted mankind to advance in scientific and technological aspects? Think about the knowledge that has allowed so many changes in the course of our history. Now, let's think about how can I advance as a human being? How can I be better? Which knowledge allows me to do that? The logosophical science has presented me many knowledges that transcend the common aspects of my life. Knowledges that doesn't necessarily relate to work, travel, and other things of our lives. But they are also useful in these situations. And one of these knowledges is related to observation. I've learned that observation promotes important changes in life based on what I pick out from it. But what exactly do I have to pick up? What do I have to observe? The creator of logosophy teaches that we must observe the facts of our experiences, the results, and what they teach us, as well as observe with equal interest the experiences of others, which undoubtedly will help sharpen our reflections. I want to share with you a simple but a special experience in which I could apply this knowledge about observation in my life. My grandmother, which is 84 years old, lives in another city, and it's far away. In the beginning of 2020, I established the purpose to visit her in my vacations. I knew since that time that accomplishing this purpose would strengthen the love between us. So I organized myself, bought the tickets, and close to the departure day, guess what? The flights were shut down due to the pandemic. And I'm sure that many of you also faced this same situation in this period, right? That work trip, those family vacations, an exchange year abroad. But how not to give up on our goals towards these unexpected situations? This question stuck in my head for a long time after the cancellation. And then, in August of 2020, the city's airport reopened. And with this came the opportunity to use my tickets again. It was more than that. It was the opportunity to get my goal off paper. But other challenges started to pop out. First, I couldn't neither reschedule the flight through the company's website, nor through the customer service. So I had to come up with other ways to put myself in the flight. And in parallel, I also had to control the irritability and the impatience that were trying to make me lose control towards the difficulties. When those thoughts appeared, I used to breathe deeply and remember why I was doing all of that. The greatness of my purpose. And one day after the flight stay, the problem was still without a solution. And I drove to the airport aiming to solve it. I remember I thought that time, it's now or never. If I don't solve it, I won't be able to travel and visit my grandmother. And in this day, I faced new obstacles, but I gave them their real dimension. I mean, I didn't make them look bigger than they really were. And instead, I kept my feet on the ground and sought solutions for them. In the end, I could reschedule my tickets and put myself on the flight, even though pleading to the service girl of the company. The impossible became real in that moment. I was there with the ticket, ready to fly the next day, and I was taken by a great happiness. It's amazing to feel like that, isn't it? So I was there with a giant smile on my face, telling everyone I had made it. And in the way back home, I asked myself, was it all luck? Coincidence? What do you think? No, right? Certainly not. In that moment that I made this question for myself, I remembered the experience as a whole, and I started to analyze it. Remembering everything I've been through until getting what I wanted. And I concluded it wasn't luck. There were concrete causes that resulted in the triumph of this experience. Causes that independent of luck or bad luck. It's just about determination. One of these causes was to have established the elevated purpose of strengthening the love I feel for my grandmother. The other cause was adapting myself to the obstacles that appeared throughout this experience, and instead of simply giving up, as I've done so many times, I saw the necessary knowledge to face them. Do you remember what I read about observation in the beginning of this talk? We must observe the effects of our experiences, their results, and what they teach us, as well as observe with equal interest the experiences of others, which undoubtedly will help sharpen our reflections. All right, so after applying this knowledge to this experience I lived, and having identified the causes that led me to triumph, what do? Do I let all these precious elements vanish like dust in the wind? Or should I pick these elements and apply them in other situations of my life to triumph in them as well? What sounds more logical to you? The second one, right? So, in my comprehension, observation is an important step in the process of self-betterment. Cultivating the observation, I become able to identify in my inner world what impedes me of getting what I want and eliminating it, keeping only with what contributes and brings positive results to my life. Roberta, is this process of self-observation easy for you?
You're mute.
Oh, sorry. Good question, Jordan. So good night, everyone. I'm Roberta. I'm 21 years old, and I study chemistry engineering here in Brazil, and I'm a Logosophical student also. So, Jordano, an inquietude I have always had is the fact that every human being is a universe. There are billions of people sharing the same planet Earth, but each moment is perceived and understood in a singular way for us, with thoughts and feelings different inside. And what is universe that each one is has in common with the title of the lecture? So I'll share an experience that I had at the beginning of college. In a certain semester, I went to class during peak hours, when buses were crowded, a long time ago. There were rare times when I could go sitting. In other words, externally, at a bus, we all were living the same situation. All of us, tightly packed, in the heat, with traffic stopped, and with complaining thoughts taking over. Could I be happy on those uncomfortable moments? I observed that I came home tired and irritated, and that what I felt, in large part, was caused by the influence of that environment, since I was taken over by the complaints of the others. Then I searched for a resource that could allow me to live that moment, which was necessary, but in a happier way. On Logosophy, I found a very practical element that helped me with this difficulty. I learned that when I prepare me mentally for the activities, I can predict what thoughts will disturb me. And when they appear, I'll be ready to face whatever comes. Then, before sleeping, I created the habit of thinking about what I will live on the next day. In this way, I anticipated what could annoy me. When I woke up, the thoughts I had prepared the night before would wake up with me. I knew before I left home that I would have to be patient and tolerant early on when taking the bus. And this patience and tolerance should last until the end of the day, because on the way back, it will be the same thing. After I started putting these elements into practice, I realized that my day was getting lighter. The world outside was the same. The bus was still full of people, but I was already predisposed not to be shaken by it. I learned to fill this space with a song, observing the city that was still new for me, or thinking about my studies. And with that, I started to bother less with that situation. I understood then what that phrase meant, that each one is a universe. I began to observe what was happening inside me, in my internal world. And I discovered how, effectively, to be better, to live better in that and many other moments. And what constitutes the inner world, which I cannot see, touch, but which nevertheless plays a determining role in the way I lead my life? Let's look at what I have learned on Logosophy about this concept. The inner world is the world of man's thoughts, while they remain unexpressed outside of the human mind. It is also the world of our feelings, joy and pleasure, of suffering and pain. It is the world of positive and negative reactions, convictions, ideas, our self-image, and so on. It is finally the world of our movements and acts of our will. And what I found incredible is that I am the only person who can know this world. If I don't externalize a thought, a feeling, the people around won't know what I'm thinking, feeling, or what's happening to me. And after knowing what constitutes my internal world, can I change it? Can I get mastery of what I think and what I feel? I see this is the key to being better. What do you think? I'll bring another experience in which I could observe these movements in myself. Probably everyone had difficulties with a teacher or a subject in school or university. Well, in the same semester that I was going to class on a crowded bus, this happened to me. Right at the beginning, I realized that I had certain reactions with the way that the professor interacts with us. Observing these internal movements, I prepared some thoughts to help me on those moments. It is only once a week, Roberta. You are studying in a public university. How many would like to be in this class in your place? Or else, for some reason you have this subject, focus only on content. These thoughts help me to contain the reactions, but sometimes I forgot this mental preparation. And what happened? The complaints were back strongly. Time was crawling. And one day I remembered another element which says the following. The observations that you make of your fellow man, as well as of everything that surrounds you, will enable you to improve greatly, correcting your deficiencies and enhancing your qualities. And this time, by observing an attitude that I didn't like and bothered someone else, I identified something surprising within myself. I discovered that what bothered me was something that I had to, that the jokes he made with the students, I sometimes reproduce myself. When I realized this, I became more tolerant in class because we had something common. And I could also be more conscious about the jokes I make with my friends. This experience allowed me to change something in myself that I did not even know existed. The observations allows me to know every day a little more than what exists in my inner universe. And from that, decide if I continue to act on the same way or make efforts to improve myself. With this knowledge that I am acquiring about myself, I create a possibility of being the owner of this internal world, of being better and of getting closer to who I want to be. Logosophy teaches that adversity is the law of life and that we will all have to fight. I can even be better in the face of the struggles that life presents me. Discovering that this different way of facing problems is within myself. I have learned that happiness doesn't depend on the moments that I live, but on how I live them. And this comes with the knowledge of my internal world, the unique universe that exists in each one. If I have more resources, I have more chances to live better, to be happier in each situation that presents itself. And you, Igor, what have you been living in me for to be better? Is it enough just want to improve yourself, or do you have something else?
Hello, everyone. I am Igor Teixeira. Thank you, Roberta. I am 25 years old, a mechanical engineer, and I study logosophical science here in Brazil. With my studies, I have learned some elements that is helping me a lot in the effort to be better. I've always wanted to be better. I wanted to be a better son, a better student, a better brother, a better boyfriend. In short, I always wanted to be a better human being. Something that I learned in the new meeting is the new meaning that Logosophy brought me for the word archetype. So for the logosophical science, the word archetype refers to an ideal image or a model of who I want to be, not only for the professional life or social life, but mainly for the inner life. This image will be attached within what I am and how I act in all different circumstances in my life. And also, I'm learning that I need to pursue this image. This image that is like the ideal Igor for me in the future, but a not so distant future, a realizable future that is being built every day. Do you know those Tubemen, those inflatable moving advertising products that is sometimes placed in front of gas stations to get attention? So that inflatable man that is there sometimes turns to one side, then to another. In short, he is at the mercy of the wind. I learned that I must not be at the mercy of my thoughts. One day I want to study, the other day I hope that the teacher is absent and that the exam is easy. One day I start English classes, 2 days later I give up, and so on. Logosophy taught me how to follow this path, to pursue the pursuit of my archetype. And I learned that I need to measure the distance I will have to go through until I reach this image. For example, I said that I wanted to have a happy family. But what is a happy family for me? A united, joyful family that takes care of each other. And to achieve that, don't I need to cultivate a lot of good things? Respect, affection, joy, generosity. All of this is within the objective of having a happy family and needs to be connected with that ideal Igor, isn't it? After all, these virtues will, in a way, be the ingredients that I will take with me to live this experience. Or am I going to hope that only others collaborate to the family's happiness? Well, returning to the archetype theme, I created the model of who I want to be. And of course, I put a lot of qualities in it, right? At these times, when we define this image of who we want to be, we are very generous, aren't we? We picture us being patient, perseverant, kind, humble. But then the work to achieve this image, this is great. How about you? Do you already have an archetype that you want to achieve? You are free to leave in the chat some virtues that you are pursuing at this moment in your life. I will tell you something that I experienced some years ago. Every day when leaving work, I pass through a narrow path where only 2 or 3 people can pass side by side. This generates a line to go to the place where I catch my bus. There, where every day people pass with a certain slowness in their steps, I started to identify 2 thoughts. The first of impatience, making me want to pass whoever was in front of me, and thinking, does this person have nowhere else to be? Does this person have nothing else to do? And the second, the thought of irritability. I didn't even know the person, but I no longer sympathized with him because he was blocking my way. Observing these thoughts in me, I saw that they were accompanied by several other psychological deficiencies, abruptness, intolerance, and that they had no reason to be. As the days went by, identifying these deficiencies, I began to reflect on my archetype, that is, the image of Igor that I want to become, of virtues that I want to have, of the behavior that I want to have for myself and for others. Was being impatient part of my archetype? At the same time, a voice in my head said, you are like that and that's it. Almost like saying you will never going to change. Another voice made me think with consciousness about the resources and knowledge that can help me to be different. I saw that rush and impatience will not get me to the place earlier, and even if I arrived earlier, I would have to wait for my bus that always arrived at the same time. I knew I could change that state of impatience. So in the following days, when this state of impatience wanted to manifest itself within me, I already stopped it with the purpose of cultivating my archetype. And also, I would remember that teaching that was mentioned at the beginning of the lecture by Giordano. Man is the only creature able to make changes by his own determination. Then I started to exercise patience, to think about those people, about what they were doing there, to think that, like me, they finished a day at work. And I discovered something very important. It wasn't just the impatience, the rush, the irritability manifesting in me. It was something even bigger. It was selfishness. This thought that makes me want everything for myself, that makes me want to get there first, that makes me indifferent to others and reduces the space of my life. Now let's do an exercise. Imagine a pilot on a runway with his plane. This plane has a defined route and a destination. What happens if that pilot deviates to 10 degrees from his route? What if this pilot does not have a defined route, or lives without the GPS, without the coordinates, just with the arrival point in mind? Will he get to the to where he wanted to be at the end of his trip. So creating an image of who I want to be is like establishing a route to follow, to facilitate my journey, and also help me to fulfill what I want to live, to be happy. It is a great effort, but it's full of joy. Now, I would like to return to the theme of the lecture. I want to be better, but how? For me, being better involves all that Giordano, Roberta, and I said. Defining an archetype based on the logosophical meaning, tracing a route to the realization of the ideal, knowing what within me can favor or hinder this process, and practicing conscious observation every day so I can get a real sense of where I am and what to do to move on. This has allowed me to feel life as something of my own, something that I'm building with my effort and knowledge. In closing, I share a teaching that has helped me a lot. This teaching will be at the screen, I think. Yes. So everything that one wants with one's heart remains in one's life. And not only does it come to represent a value before it is obtained, but this value increases as one achieves its possessions. So, I hope that this activity has brought something of value to you. And now, I will leave with something to think about. Do you remember the plane's pilot who left without a well-defined route? Now I want to hear from you. How are your flight plans? So if what we have been talking about makes you feel something different inside of you, it may be because there is a part of you that wants to know more about all this subject. If you are interested in learning more about the logosophy, the best way to do it is to subscribe for a free course where you can start to study and apply it in your own life. We pasted it on the chat, the link. Additionally, you can read any of the logosophical books completely for free on the website. You can use the QR code or the link that we pasted on the chat. You can also find more videos on YouTube with talks where other students of logosophy, just like us, share their experiences. That is it for today. And in the name of the Logosophical Foundation, I want to thank you for participating in this talk. I wish you all a good day.